Hello and welcome. You're watching Battle of Champions. Just a couple of days to go for that big World Cup final between Australia and New Zealand. But before that, we'll also be talking about the game that's just finished, that T20 semi-final between Pakistan and Australia. Where is it that Pakistan lost that particular game? Joining us on the show is going to be former Pakistani captain in Wasim Akram. He'll share his thoughts as to what were the key moments where Pakistan faltered in that crucial game versus Australia. But before I get to Wasim bhai, here's a quick update from closer home. The Indian team now for the 2 test match series versus New Zealand was announced just a couple of days after the selectors announced that T20 squad. And the big talking points here have been that Virat Kohli, and this is something that we had been reporting on India today, Virat Kohli has been rested for the first test match. He's asked for rest. Ajinkya Rahane is going to be captaining the squad in the absence of Virat Kohli. Virat is expected to be back for the second test match to be played in Mumbai. Rohit Sharma, Mohammad Shami, Jasprit Bumrah, Rishabh Pant and Shardul Thakur, some other very prominent names that have been rested for the test series. You've got players in Vridhiman Saha and KS Bharat, the 2 wicket keepers in the squad. Shreyas Iyer, Jayant Yadav, Prasidh Krishna, the surprise pick for the test squad, whereas Hanuma Vihari left out of that test squad is a surprise exclusion. I say that because the last time he played for India, Vihari had an outstanding performance in that Sydney test match. So that is the 16-member squad that the Indian selectors have announced. Now, looking back at that encounter that we promised, it was a nail-biting encounter between Australia and Pakistan, and you'd have to say for 3/4 of the game it was Pakistan that dominated. Then you saw that blitzkrieg from Wade and Stoinis that completely turned the tide of the match. What were the key moments where Pakistan lost it? Was it that Hasan Ali catch? Was that over by Shaheen Shah Afridi? Here's a report.
No, Maxwell goes reverse and he's gone straight to the...
When Shadab Khan picked his 4th wicket, Pakistan looked set for their 3rd World T20 final appearance.
Great hands.
After all, the talismanic Glenn Maxwell was gone and Australia were tottering at 96 for 5. With half the side gone, more than 80 runs needed and less than 8 overs left, the odds were in favour of Babar Azam's men. But Marcus Stoinis and Matthew Wade had other plans. They ensured they didn't lose another wicket and kept the scoreboard ticking. With 50 needed of the final 4 overs, it was Stoinis who put the pressure back on Pakistan with a 6 and a 4 in the 17th over.
Brutal. Can't stop it.
Matthew Wade, who was batting on just 8 of 9 deliveries, then decided to take the attack to Pakistan in Hasan Ali's next.
We'll go away for 4. Boundary of the last ball.
With 22 needed of the final 2 overs, the game had suddenly shifted. Australia were on the ascendancy. And just then, a glorious chance presented itself to Pakistan. Matthew Wade's mistimed whip went to Hasan Ali at deep mid-wicket. The game could well have gone Pakistan's way had Hasan Ali snaffled the chance, but he shelled the sitter.
That's a big moment. He made great ground.
All of Australia was ecstatic. Pakistan knew what that drop chance meant.
The elder statesman.
मेरे ख्याल से कैच अगर हो जाता तो वो डिफरेंट सिनेरियो होता. नया बैट्समैन नहीं आना था तो में भी डिफरेंट रिजल्ट आते हैं, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल से एज अ प्लेयर आपको ऑन द टॉस रहना पड़ता है और अपॉर्चुनिटी जो आती है आप उसको अवेल करते हो.
Shaheen Shah Afridi, who was having a great game till this drop chance, lost the plot thereafter.
Magnificent from Matthew Wade.
Wade smashed him for 3 consecutive sixes to finish the game in the 19th over itself.
This is a match-winning effort and history has repeated itself somewhat. Australia into the final of the ICC Men's World T20.
Title favourites Pakistan were sent packing and celebrations kicked in the Aussie dressing room.
From 31, Wade, 41.
Sports Bureau, India Today.
There were questions asked of Matthew Wade whether he could finish off it.
Right, now joining us live on the show, former Pakistani captain in Wasim Akram. He joins us live from Pakistan. Wasim bhai, always a pleasure talking to you. We're trying to dissect that very, very exciting encounter between Pakistan and Australia. Let's start with the Pakistan batting. Now, we've seen this sort of approach really work by Rizwan and Babar, very different from other teams. They try and consolidate and then build a base, and from there on, they kick towards the end. Do you think in this particular encounter, looking at that score, even though it looks very competitive, Pakistan was 10-15 runs short? Fair to say that?
You see, Nikhil, there are a lot of ifs and buts. You see, Australia played better cricket. Pakistan were, like you said earlier on in your report, they were in control about 75% of the time. Yeah. And in last 3-4 overs, I mean, if you want to really seriously be ultra critical, of course, getting 10 overs for 70 odd for none, they should have accelerated just before about 8th over, 9th over, because we had 10 wickets in hand. And then, of course, I think 18th or 19th over went for only 3 runs. Pat Cummins were bowling. Yeah. So, yeah, another 10 runs would have been bonus. But in the end, I think it's still 176, 177 was kind of enough, especially when you talk about knockouts, semifinals, World Cup, big games, pressure, and, stuff like that. But I think they started off well. Australia were 70 odd for 4, but they kept their run rate. Shadab bowled beautifully. But in general, I think drop catch, yes, it mattered. It would have been a different ball game altogether, like Babar Azam said in his post-game interview. That catch could have made a difference with a new batsman in, probably, maybe not. But that's what it is. But I think in general, coming back to the performance of Pakistan cricket, the whole country is disappointed and a bit sad, like usually you do, and then you move on. True. So I suppose, and the best thing is this, that at least with this team, apart from a couple of senior players, you see a lot of young cricketers who probably will be a lot handier, especially the next year World Cup in October, November in Australia.
Okay, Wasim bhai, since you spoke about that drop chance by Hasan Ali, for those that are being critical of Hasan at the moment, would you say, I'm just looking at when Australia were fielding, very unusual to see them also drop 3 catches from players like Warner and Smith. That's something that you hardly see on the cricket field. Did that even things out, or was the Hasan Ali catch even more crucial because it came at a very crucial juncture?
You see, they dropped 3 catches and they still won Australia. So, yeah, I suppose the phrase is catches when matches matters. But Hasan Ali catch was a crucial stage. Yes, absolutely. He has been a phenomenal performer for Pakistan, just not in this World Cup. For some odd reason, he was off colour. But before that, he has been a very consistent performer for Pakistan cricket in all the formats. So he had a bad game. And then obviously Shaheen, Matthew Witt played some exceptional shots. And of course, when you play against player like Matthew Witt, you know his strength. You know that if the data shows that he plays that scoop shot with fine leg. So what Shaheen did was fine leg was up in the circle and he was trying to bowl full yorkers, and that's his favorite shot. And I think he played all 3 of them beautifully, but it should have been different ball game if there was fine leg back and third man up, and maybe mix-ups a bit as well. And of course, Shaheen is young, he's learning. Eventually, he has to learn the slow ball that goes, back of the hand. Yeah. Flick of a wrist that goes, turns away from the left-hander. That would have been handier against left-hander in last 2-3 overs.
Right. In fact, that was going to be my next question, Wasim bhai. But you've already answered that, because I was listening to Matthew Wade at the end of the game and he said that, listen, it actually helped that Shaheen was trying to bowl quick. It actually helped him use the pace. As you say, probably that back of the hand sort of slower deliveries, it could have changed things up. But that's for another day. What's happened has happened. Let's look at the positive for Pakistan cricket. What do you think this performance, they were unbeaten till the semi-final. What do you think this performance has done in general for Pakistan cricket? Because we remember just before this tournament, you had teams pull out. There's not been too much cricket there. Do you think this is going to change the complexion of cricket at home? More teams would now want to travel, because when you have a very competitive team, all around things trying to change.
Absolutely spot on. I think, like I said, at least as a Pakistani, the whole country have realized they've got a talented bunch, and these boys are mean business. And of course, they've gone to Bangladesh. Now they will probably go to Bangladesh in next day or two. And then they come back. West Indies is touring Pakistan. And then PSL will happen, fingers crossed. And then, of course, Australia have announced the schedule as well. So that's good signs. I mean, we love our cricket like India does. Pakistani do love their cricket. And cricket is the ultimate sport here. You know, it makes people happy both sides of the border.
Okay, and one other image, Wasim bhai, just to show the kind of spirit that the Pakistan team showed. I'm watching those visuals of Mohammad Rizwan spending time in the ICU and yet to come out and play the knock that he did. Just goes on to show the kind of resolve that Pakistan had this in particular tournament. That's all right if the result really didn't go their way.
Yeah, he's a national hero. He's a what you call it, ultra superior human being, mentally and physically. I mean, in general, I can talk about the strength. During our fasting month in Ramadan, he fasts and plays one-day cricket or test cricket. That's humanly impossible. You got to be mentally very, very strong. And of course, he's such a nice boy. I worked with him in Karachi Kings for a couple of years. One of the person you would like to have in your teammate. Helpful, hard work, always happy, chirpy and fighter. So, perfect example of any team man you want in your team. And he did great. 2 days in ICU and then went on. And then he batted. Then he kept for 20 overs as well. So imagine the strength he's got both mentally and physically.
All right, Wasim bhai, as always, pleasure talking to you. And as he's been talking about the performance of the Pakistan team, plenty for them to look forward to, albeit that their campaign at this particular T20 World Cup ended in the semi-final. That's all that we have with Wasim Akram, but we still have a little more on our show. There's this exclusive interview on India Today with the outgoing coach of the Indian cricket team, Ravi Shastri, done by Rajdeep Sardesai. You can catch that entire interview at 9 p.m. tonight, but we're going to leave you with some excerpts. And this is Ravi Shastri talking about the workload on Virat Kohli, and maybe going forward the Indian captain might just give away the captaincy not just in the T20I format but also in ODI cricket, and then just concentrate being a captain in Test cricket. Listen in.
Virat will have to decide whether he's mentally fatigued, whether he wants to carry on as captain. You've watched him more closely than anyone else over the last few years. Is he mentally fatigued according to you, or still hungry for more?
He's hungry. I mean, he's fitter than anybody in the team. There's no doubt about that. And when you're physically that fit, your longevity only increases. Now, on the captaincy part of it, that will be his decision. But I see, if anything, he might just say no to white ball cricket, but red ball, I think he should carry on, because he's been the best ambassador for Test cricket over the last 5 years. If you look at an individual, the way he's embraced it, the passion with which he's played the game, the energy he's got onto the field, and the success, should automatically, make him carry on.
You said, Ravi, that you would like to see Virat continue as the red ball captain, given his Test success, maybe give up white ball captaincy completely. Rohit Sharma is the new T20 captain. Do you favor one captain for all formats, or do you believe the time has come to look at split captaincy as England does? It reduces the pressure on one individual.
Especially in these times. It will definitely reduce the pressure on the individual, because a lot of players will take breaks. I foresee going forward a lot of players wanting breaks, and rightly so, because you're not a machine. You need to give your mind that space, that rest, that switch off period, where you just get away from the game, even if it is for a month. Because when you come back, then all the juices will be flowing, and you will see you're a different player.